How do Black-owned banks compare in scale to major financial institutions? Imagine trying to build wealth with a small boat in a vast ocean. That's how Black-owned banks compare to the big banks in the United States. These smaller banks hold about $6 billion for $100 million in assets. To put that in perspective, all U.S. banks together have around $23.6 trillion in assets. So, Black-owned banks make up just a tiny fraction of the entire banking industry. Their median asset size is about $191 million, and the average is roughly $355 million. Big national banks often have assets in the hundreds of billions or even trillions of dollars. Back in 1926, Black-owned banks controlled about 0.2% of America's bank assets. Today, that share has shrunk to a very small part of the total. There are only about 18 Black-owned banks spread across 16 states and territories. Some states like Alabama and Georgia have 2 Black-owned banks each. These banks have remained small over the years, and new ones are rare. The most recent Black-owned bank started in 2023 after a gap of 23 years. When we look at all minority-owned banks, which include Asian American, Hispanic American, Native American, and Black-owned banks, they hold around $329 billion in assets. Black-owned banks account for only about $7.5 billion of that total. Asian American and Hispanic American banks tend to be larger and hold bigger shares of minority bank assets. Because they are smaller, Black-owned banks focus on serving local communities and offering services that reflected Black culture and needs. They play a key role in helping Black entrepreneurs get loans and access capital. Banks like Carver Federal Savings Bank and One United Bank are examples. They work to close the racial wealth gap by providing financial education, small business loans, and community programs. From a wealth-building point of view, Black-owned banks help promote financial literacy and support community savings goals. They often partner with fintech companies and local organizations to give more people access to financial tools. While they are smaller in size, their focus on community and cultural relevance makes them important players in economic growth and financial inclusion for Black families. In summary, Black-owned banks are much smaller than the large national banks, but they serve an essential purpose. They focus on community needs, support Black businesses, and help build wealth in ways that big banks might not always prioritize. Their size limits their reach, but their impact on community development and financial empowerment is significant.